Hello everybody, thank you for joining us for today's video. In this video we're going to talk a little bit about grief and grieving and funerals, but more specifically what to say to people who are grieving or at a funeral and what to definitely not say to people who are grieving or at a funeral. Because I'm sure we've all had experiences of loss and of grieving and grief ourselves, and sometimes people say things and it either lands neutrally or makes you feel a little bit better, and sometimes people say things with good intention that really don't feel very good.
Right. And, this is like your bonus video for this week. And we're talking about this because we were just having this discussion out in our lobby a few minutes ago. And there are really some things that you can say to people when they're at a funeral or have had a big loss. There are things that you can say that are helpful, and there are things that you can say that you might mean well, but it is really not helpful to say something like that to somebody. So, yeah. All right. So what's some of the don'ts?
One I hear a lot from clients when they're grieving and they get really frustrated is when people tell them that their loved one is in a better place now.
Right. When people say this, I think that it's meant to be helpful, but it sort of invalidates how people feel right now in the moment. You may really honestly believe that your loved one is in a better place, but that doesn't mean right now feels better. Right now still really, really hurts.
I think for most people, even if they believe in a better place for the person, they don't, and in that moment, they wish they were still here. They don't care where they are, they just wish they were still here.
Right. And that may be a discussion that you could have with them somewhere else down the road, but definitely not right at that moment of loss.
Yeah. I think that one kind of falls under the category of, I say they're in a better place because it makes me feel better, not because it's actually helping the person who's grieving.
Right.
That's pretty insightful. I think that's a great way to explain that.
I stole it from Shara.
Most great things come from her mind, don't they?
Oh, I don't know about that. Another thing that I've often heard people say is really painful for them is when people tell them, oh, I just can't imagine what you're going through. It makes the person feel isolated and alone, and it also makes them frustrated and angry, because the truth is you can imagine what they're going through. You don't want to imagine something like that ever happening to you. And so I think that a better idea is to ask the person, maybe what it is that you can do to help them or be there for them. Let them know that you're there, but not saying I just can't imagine what this must be like for you. That just makes them feel very alone.
Yeah.
You threw out a good idea in making it a statement, which is, tell me what you're going through, which allows them to talk about their experience. Right. That sounds like it would be helpful too.
Right. This one gets so tricky because it kind of rides that line. When you're at a funeral, don't go up to somebody and say, how are you doing?
That's actually one I've heard in several situations.
Right. Why not? Why not say, how are you doing?
Well, the way that my client explained it years ago was like, how do you think I'm doing?
Yeah, you already kind of know.
And I'm like, yeah, solid point, right?
Right.
Probably doing crappy.
Right. Do you want me to lie to you right now and say I'm doing okay? Will that make you feel better? Right. That's not about being there for the other person. How are they doing? Not well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you already know that going in, I'm assuming.
Right.
I think a lot of these fall under good intention, right? Well intentioned. You're trying to show support or care that you're there for the person, but they kind of are invalidating, and you're trying to fix a problem that you just can't wave away and fix in a second, right? The grieving process is a process. It takes time. It doesn't just need the right question asked or something like that.
Right. Well, and I guess I would say whenever you say something, if you're going to a funeral or going to talk to somebody who's grieving and you don't know what to say, ask yourself, am I saying this because I actually think it will comfort and help the other person, or am I saying it because it will help and comfort me? Often that's where we kind of get into trouble. We feel distressed about how to help somebody else, and so we say something that actually comforts us instead of comforting the other person.
Yeah, even how are you feeling, right? You're like, please say good so I don't have to feel as bad. Please say good. Right? But it's not a helpful question. I think you probably hit the nail on the head. A lot of it's to kind of comfort ourselves. So the flip side of that is what's actually a helpful or good thing to hear when you're the one grieving? What do you want to say to people who are grieving?
I love you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's a helpful one. I love you and I'm here for you.
Yeah. Just showing support. I'm not trying to fix anything, right? That acknowledgement that this sucks. But that, look, I'm here. I support you. I'm here if you need anything. Those kind of things are always really helpful, I think.
I was going to say, the only other thought that comes to my mind is expressing your sorrow.
Yeah.
Right? I'm so sorry for your loss. And then with the statement that I'm happy to be here. You probably shouldn't say happy, but I'm here for you.
Yeah, I'm here for you, and I'm sad too. Right? Some of that shared grief can actually be helpful. I know that for lots of clients that I talk to, it's so helpful for you to express that you miss the other person too. Sometimes we stop talking about the other person or the loss that we've had because it's sort of like we don't want to make the other person feel sad, so we don't bring it up. But we're all thinking about it. And so it's actually just helpful to say, oh yeah, I was thinking about them too, and I feel sad about that today too. More helpful things that you can do are to continue to check in on the person as time goes by, because grief doesn't go away. It's something that continues, and maybe the sting of it gets a little less intense over time, but it doesn't go away. And so just continuing to check in on that person, let them know, I'm here for you, I love you, I'm feeling some of this same sadness too, do you want to talk about it? Some of those things are the more helpful things to do.
Yeah. I always think of like, have you heard the term integrated grief?
No.
So in this specific model of grieving, the last stage is integrated grief, which is just saying, like, it doesn't go away, right? There's no end to it, but you've integrated it into your life. You've learned how to move on. You've learned how to properly remember the person, however that works for you, how to live without this person, what changes, and kind of come to that acceptance. And that's as far as we ever get, right? Like you said, you never stop grieving. Does it get less painful? Yeah, as time goes on. But there will never be a time when I think about my grandpa and I'm like, no emotional reaction, right? So it becomes integrated grief because I move on, I live life, I still do my things, but it's always there somewhere. And so I like that model, and I like thinking of kind of like what you said, like if you're supporting someone who's grieving, I love you, I'm here for you, I'm sad too. All of these are very supportive, I'm with you things, and not I can't imagine what you're going through, this kind of stuff, which is like that separating, isolating, right? That person needs to know that they have people with them and that people that care. They don't need you to fix it for them.
Right. Well, and I think too, like, we want to tell the other person that they're going to feel better eventually, or that there is a way to feel better now. And the truth is, there's not a way to feel better right now. And eventually you will learn how to live with it, but it doesn't mean it's going to go away. Like you said, it will be integrated into your life. And I think that if you're trying to be a support person for someone who's grieving, this is a really important thing to remember. It's not going to go away. They're not suddenly going to feel better. And you giving them any indication that you think they should feel that way is not helpful. It just isolates them.
Yeah. Well, anything else you guys want to add to that?
I think that's it.
Yeah, nothing from me.
Yeah, I think it's hopefully helpful to somebody. I know lots of people who would have appreciated certain things not being said to them while they're grieving.
Sure.
Well, thanks everybody for joining on today's video. Hopefully you learned something, and we'd love to talk to you in the comments. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks.
See ya.